As someone who enjoys weightlifting, this has always kind of interested me, and I love a good debate anyway. So this article caught my eye yesterday, and again, trying to avoid the nonsense of Super Tuesday and watching the Democrats eat themselves. But anyway, so this article says it's from Caleb Park of Fox News. Arizona House passes ban on transgender females in women's sports. Democrats dub it "Show Me Your Genitals" bill. Wham, wham, wham. Arizona House Republicans passed a controversial bill that would ban biological males who identify as transgender females from participating in women's sports. Supporters say the Save the Women's Sports Act is intended to prevent young girls and women in K through 12 schools, community colleges, and state universities from being forced to compete against biological males, but opponents argue it allows for discrimination. House Bill 2706 passed along party lines 3129 and is headed for the state Senate. Fox 10 reports the bill is strongly opposed by Democrats. All right, let's see what they say. Males should participate with males and compete against males, and females should compete against females, Rep. Nancy Bartow, a Phoenix Republican who sponsored the bill, told Fox News. Recent research actually verifies that even cross-sex hormones, men have unequivocal advantages. They've got stronger bones, they've got greater lung capacity. She argued the bill is necessary, citing a sex discrimination lawsuit in Connecticut brought by the conservative group Alliance Defending Freedom and students who argue they had unfairly lost while competing with transgender athletes. There should be a woman there. Girls deserve to compete on a level playing field. Forcing them to compete against boys isn't fair, shatters their dreams, and destroys their athletic opportunities. Having separate boys and girls sports events has always been based on biological differences, not what people believe about their gender, because those differences matter for fair competition. Enforcing girls to be spectators in their own sports is completely at odds with Title IX, a federal law designed to create equal opportunity for women in education and athletics. As in Connecticut, Arizona Interscholastic Association, which governs school athletics, allows athletes to play on teams consistent with their gender identities, regardless of their biological gender. Democrat Rep. Acela Blanc called the bill completely inappropriate, and the Arizona Democrats dubbed it the "Show Me Your Genitals" bill because of now deleted parts that would have required a physical exam. Bartow amended the bill to require a genetic test. I mean, if they want to debate genitals, I guess we'll see, Blanc said. We're talking about kids in sports that range in athletic ability, height, weight, and age. And it's all to go after transgender girls. It makes no sense. It's completely wrong, inhumane, unkind, inappropriate, and just mean-spirited. The ACLU of Arizona will fight the bill. It is trying to isolate, stigmatize, and exclude transgender youth from sports. There are major privacy concerns. Republican Gov. Ducey did not say whether he will sign the bill if it passes the Senate. I 100% agree that this should be a thing. And this is why. Because men and women are different. Now, defenders of this are clearly going to be like, well, they take hormone therapy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so ponder this argument, and we'll get into it in a second. If the only difference between men and women is testosterone therapy, why can't low testosterone males who identify as males compete against women? Why not? What's the difference? If it's just a matter of your testosterone levels. Let's see what the always intelligent Huffington Post has to say. Apologize. Do transgender athletes have an unfair advantage? Of course, it says transgender, but you're going to be hard pressed to find a trans man. It always confuses me. Trans man who's outperforming biological normal men. Perhaps no transgender issue brings out more anger than the idea of transgender women competing in athletics. It was evidence again when a female transgender CrossFit athlete was told in writing by the CrossFit governing body that she cannot compete as a woman. She in turn filed a lawsuit. However, the most disturbing part of this incident is the offensive and ignorant language used by CrossFit in their letter of explanation. We have simply ruled that based upon Chloe being born as a male, she will need to compete in the men's division. The fundamental, ineluctable fact is that a male competitor who has a sex reassignment procedure still has a genetic makeup that confers a physical and physiological advantage over women. Our decision has nothing to do with ignorance or being bigots. It has to do with a very real understanding of the human genome of fundamental biology that you are either intentionally ignoring or missed in high school. They're kind enough to note that the transgender women are welcome to compete so long as they do it in a division in which they have no hope of being competitive. Transgender athletes will be welcomed with open arms in this community, but what we will not waver from is our commitment to ensure the fairness of the competition. The first most glaring problem with this statement is that they sound like something a troll on YouTube would write about transgender people. Saying such things as a representative of a corporate entity has legal implications. Of course it does, because you're going to win your sports competition in a court of law. The case was filed in California, of course, where transgender employment protections are ensconced in state law, and the Ninth Circuit long ago applied heightened scrutiny to sex discrimination claims filed by transgender plaintiffs, i.e. they decided to be biased. And, of course, competing is not necessarily employment now, is it? Somehow I don't think they ran this by legal before they sent it, because this is a super, this is clearly just an opinion piece from the HuffPo, which is basically all you get from these people. Fundamentally, though, it shows a lack of awareness of the current medical thought. The overwhelming consensus is that after some period of time of hormone replacement therapy, transgender individuals will be allowed to compete, should be allowed to compete in accordance with their legal gender. The overwhelming consensus of who? The IOC rules boil down to 3 basic points. They must have legal recognition of their assigned gender. They must have at least 2 years of hormone therapy. And then it goes on to talk about a bunch of things that aren't related at all while criticizing the IOC, which is fine. I don't care about the IOC. We'll scroll down. Okay, in an interview regarding transgender MMA fighter Fallon Fox, Dr. Marcy Bowers explains why there is no effective competitive advantage in being a transgender woman. By most measures of physical strength minimize, muscle mass decreases, bone density decreases, and they become fairly comparable to women in their musculature. Really, your bones get smaller, do they? After as much time has passed, in her case, if tested, she would probably end up in the same muscle mass category as her biologically born female counterpart. Probably, maybe. So now it's going to say, given that women get 25% of their circulating testosterone from their ovaries, post-operative transgender women typically have less testosterone than their counterparts. I'm not sure who their counterparts are. Are they talking about transgender men? Are they talking about normal women? And again, it confuses me. Post-operative transgender women, are they talking about women who turn into men or men who turn into women? It's hard for me to tell. It's very confusing, and the few times I've encountered medical reporting on it, just getting the report, the guy giving it to me got confused because he couldn't tell me if he was talking about a biological male or a female or what. So we just had to go with the restroom they were in when they collapsed. When you test her, she's going to come out with low testosterone levels and muscle mass that is remarkably similar to her counterparts, but she hasn't. Fallon Fox does have one loss. We'll get to that in a minute. The only dissenting medical professional I could find has no actual experience. And then it just goes on. Seriously, reporter, can't find anything? Okay. In professional sports, any tiny advantage translates into the difference between a win and a loss. If being a transgender woman translates into a substantial competitive advantage, you would expect to see them consistently dominating the top levels of their sport. In fact, we see the exact opposite. Professional female transgender athletes are exceedingly rare. Okay, stop. You're saying 2 different things, you clown. They do, yes, they are consistently rare because transgender people are not that common in the world. First off, much less ones competing in sports, right? So stop right there. And yes, you do consistently see them dominating at the top levels of their sport, HuffPo. For anyone on the fence, though, I have a question. Would you prefer to base your opinions on what all the top medical experts who you didn't talk to agree and the empirical evidence, which you haven't cited, say? Or would you rather side with the kind of folks who comment on YouTube? All right, so let's go with it. Let's go with your first argument. You'll see transgender athletes dominating at the top of their sport. First transgender woman wins cycling world championship. Do you know how many cycling championships were won by this person before they became transgender and competed? 0. Yep. First transgender woman. Won gold in sprint in 2018 UCI Masters Track Cycling World Championship. The Masters, no less. And they train, sure. I train 15, 20 hours a week, twice a day, 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah, I just jump off the couch and won. The transphobic bigots, y'all, she said in a post defending her claim. All right. In 2016, the International Olympics Committee abolished the policy that forced trans to undergo reassignment surgery. Trans men can now take part in men's competitions, but trans women have to show their testosterone levels is below a designated level. The world champion referred to this policy in another post. I'm still forced to have unhealthily low endogenous testosterone value. It's virtually undetectable. It's so low, way below the average for women. We'll see. Let's look at her Wikipedia page, or his Wikipedia page. We'll go with her because that's how I first met her. Let me see. Let's see. She was born. She got a PhD. She began transitioning. I don't know. Okay, so transitioned near when she was 29. And that was in 2012. Athletic career. Let me see. She decided to go into sports, and she won the world 200-meter sprint record. Is in the 35 age range. Apparently, that's her first one. Next day, won the World Track Cycling Championship in the 35 to 44 bracket. I wonder, how many men you're going to find who don't start competing until they're 35 in the first competition there and they just start winning. Who knows? Let's look at this one. Olympians fume over transgender weightlifters' records. Mary Gregory claimed on Instagram she won 9 out of 9 events. This is 100% Raw Powerlifting Federation. If you don't know what Raw means, it just means you don't get to use special clothing when you lift. You get a belt, I think, and maybe wraps for your hands, possibly your knees. So her big thing, she went, basically she competed, she broke records. She was a power lifter before she transitioned, but she was not top of the male game. And as soon as she transitioned to female, she broke 4 world records. And then, people complained, and they actually did remove her, and they said she was a man. So she got stripped of her records. But there's more. Fighter destroys female opponent. Like, physically. Fallon Fox defeated her opponent, Tamika Brents, by TKO. Brent's eye injury resulted in damage to the orbital bone that required 7 staples. She felt she was overpowered. So in 2013, after the first knockout victory, Fox revealed, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you I was a man until I started knocking people out. So what do the IOC rules say? Long story short, an athlete transitioning to a woman must undergo hormone therapy and demonstrate that the total level of male testosterone in the blood has been below 10 nanomoles per liter. Okay, that doesn't sound like a lot. Let's see what normal is. This is from Real Science. Doctors measure testosterone in nanomoles per liter, and reported normal healthy range males is anywhere from 9.2 to 31.8. Is about 10 times lower in females, with normal levels being considered between 0.3 and 2.4. So even by the Olympic standards, trans women have 4 times the amount of testosterone just in their body. Just in their body. Like minimum 4 times the amount, or allowed 4 times the amount. Now I'm sure there are women with much higher. There is a runner from South Africa, and she does have abnormally high testosterone, and she's having to fight that because she's, from everything I've been told, just, no offense to her, like an extremely rare case of extremely high testosterone. But don't take it from real clear science, because what do they know? Testosterone hormones. Now this is slightly different, right? A healthy young man can produce more than 35 nanomoles per liter, while women usually produce less than 3. So that's fairly consistent. And this is the results. If you click on this link for Mother Jones, you're going to find this. All right, go into the results. Nanomoles. Sounds like nanimal crackers, really. Between 10 and 10.07 and 38.76 nanomoles for men. Looks like over 40 or under 40. So suffice it to say, the whole thing about transgender women being able to compete with women is, well, they have lower testosterone. Really? If that's your only difference between men and women is low testosterone, why can't low testosterone men compete in the women's division? Because there are apparently no other advantages that being an adult male has over a female, right? But whatever. It's another glorious day. Like, subscribe. Until next time, have a nice day.